Summertime Shy is home to dozens of music and food festivals, art fairs and block parties, and for the last 2 decades, the Silver Room Block Party has been one of the city's favorites. Now, in 2 weeks, it will unfortunately put on its final hurrah. So, how did a small customer appreciation day in Wicker Park transform into one of the South Side's biggest cultural events? And what does its end mean for Black Chicago and the South Side? I'm Jacoby Cochran. This is Chicago Newsroom 2.0, and we'll break it all down. But up first is my one-on-one interview with Audrena Spence, Executive Director of Gift of Hope Community Foundation.
This week on In the Money, we will learn the essentials of banking and investing. Join us for expert insights, practical tips, and the knowledge you need to secure your financial future.
Avoiding overdrafts starts with your own personal discipline.
That's the beauty of investing. You can earn dividends, and dividends are a recurring stream of income that you can get from your investments just because you are loyal.
In the Money airs on Thursday at 7 p.m. on CAN-TV 19, cantv.org, and on the all-new CAN-TV Plus app.
Over 7.5 million Illinoisans are registered organ donors, a huge accomplishment if you ask officials. Yet, every day, thousands remain in need of vital transplants. Audrena Spence, Executive Director of Gift of Hope Community Foundation, understands some of the misconceptions and fears surrounding organ donation, and she's here to educate us all on the importance of being a donor. Audrena, welcome to Chicago Newsroom.
Thank you, Jacoby.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Gift of Hope Community Foundation? What should people know?
What do people need to know about Gift of Hope Community Foundation? Well, I think what's most important to know is that Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network is the major umbrella. We are the organ and tissue procurement organization for most of the state of Illinois and Northwest Indiana, and the foundation is the philanthropic arm. So that is the biggest piece. And so for my role as part of the foundation is to raise dollars to support Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network around education, donor family services, and research and development.
When you say largest procurement network, what does that mean? What does that look like?
So the organ and tissue procurement network is, when decisions are made, organ and tissue industry is regulated. And so when decisions are made in terms of you'll have a requester. These are our workers that come out when there's a need in a hospital setting, and whereas that someone is going to expire, and our workers engage with families and helping them at that most volatile time in their lives. And so that is from the organ and tissue side of work in terms of how they navigating working with families, working with transplant centers. And so that's not the business, that's not what I'm doing. I'm on that foundation side and really helping to support the work that's needed and supporting some of the education pieces, whether it's outreach, and how do we make sure we're helping our communities understand what organ tissue donation is all about and what some of those misconceptions are, and bringing more clarity and awareness as well as opportunities within the industry. This is a healthcare industry.
Yes, ma'am.
And where there's those opportunities as well.
Can we talk a little bit about those misconceptions and fears that people may have about organ donation? I know you can just put it on your driver's license, but I know some people have, maybe some misinformation about that process.
Yeah, I think you can start with yourself and thinking about, I am new to organ procurement industry, I would say. I was in human services for more than 30 years. Doing different kind of work in terms of behavioral health, education, workforce development, et cetera. And so what I brought to this space was my experience, but also my experiences is my history and the knowledge I had or lack of. And so in terms of when you're thinking about what our misconceptions are, if something happens to me, will they take my organs before I'm ready?
Will they fight to save my life?
Absolutely, absolutely. Those are our own, I think of your own misconceptions. Will I be able to as an African American, how I'll be treated.
Yeah.
We don't, still the Tuskegee experiment is still fresh for a lot of us, regardless of how many years ago it occurred. But I think as we look at that in terms of misconceptions, also look at where there's opportunities. And I think that's where my transition to this space is, the opportunities, because what I see is an opportunity to provide education and knowledge, and how do we create access?
Yeah.
In terms of most recently, Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network, our main office is in Itasca, but we have a Southside location. We have done a major project on the old Independence Bank building on 79th and Cottage Grove in terms of co-locating with other providers who are also as instrumental, having an impact in the community. So when you think about in terms of where we are now, is the goal is how do we make sure it's just not misconceptions, but how do we turn that around to be an opportunity? By being located within the city, it's like we need to be able to touch and see and feel, and to know where we're getting our services from, to understand. And so now when you see that Gift of Hope logo, people want to know, they don't just drive by, they want to know what it is.
Exactly.
And have a better understanding. But being located in a community is going to help us do that.
When we talk about Illinois, I think the last time I looked at the numbers, it was something about 74 or 75% of all Illinoisans who can be registered are. And in those kind of situations, you see that as an achievement, and people might get a bystander effect, like, oh, I guess I don't need to sign up then. Why do you think it's important for people to stay tapped in, to realize just how many people are still waiting for these vital transplants?
Because it's not just a transplant, is an opportunity to save life and create quality of life. The quality of life when one is waiting on a transplant is a poor quality of life. And so we can enhance life, and then it gives you an opportunity for one's loved one to live on, and through the legacy of someone else. And those are what we refer to like the opportunities for our donor families, as well as those who are the transplant recipients. So I think in terms of when we've had personal experiences, we truly understand what that means to get that call when one needs a transplant, but also we realize that there's a loss somewhere.
Yeah. I feel like because I personally have not gone through that situation personally, had maybe a close family member impacted, when I think about organ donation, most of what I know is from like TV shows, right? Like House, like Grey's Anatomy or something. How can people educate themselves beyond maybe what they see in pop culture or television?
I think that is perfect. So let me, and I think this is a good place to start that. When I was approached about this industry, about organ procurement and running their foundation, first thing I had to do was understand, because I didn't understand. And I needed to spend some time learning the industry. And I think that is so important for anyone to really just understand. A lot of times we find ourselves in situations, we now, in terms of do the research, but just understanding the magnitude, the impact, and that we are, as Black and brown people, we got to do a better job in terms of being organ donors, in terms of that impact. How do we help our community? We have a lot of dialysis centers in our immediate communities. They're there because we have a lot of families and individuals in need of kidneys, kidney failure. So kidney disease is heavy within all our communities. So just looking at that, but just educating ourselves and understanding it.
How can people stay tapped into the organization beyond advocacy and education, but maybe also get involved?
Gift of Hope, giftofhope.org. That is the best way. Go on our website. There are opportunities for volunteerism. There's opportunities to learn, and just looking up organ tissue donation, understanding it. But locally, it's giftofhope.org.
What do you think in your short time here in this position, what have you learned? What misconception has been cleared up for you that you share with other people?
That I not only have to be an advocate for organ and tissue donation, but I also have to be an advocate to help Black and brown individuals understand the importance of organ and tissue donation and how we can have an impact. And lastly, living donation. There's an opportunity to help. We can be a living donor to help our family members and friends.
Audrena Spence, it has been a wonderful conversation. Appreciate you making time. We'll be back with this week's Roundtable. Stay with us.
This week on Change Agents, join me as I talk to two incredible leaders working to support our immigrant and refugee communities.
We do workforce development, we teach English as a second language, we help people become US citizens, so if they can't afford an immigration lawyer, they can come to us.
See you on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on CanTV 19. Stream Change Agents on cantv.org or download the CanTV Plus app.
For the last 20 years, Summertime Shy has been incomplete without a trip to the Silver Room Block Party. Its musical lineups, vendors, and growth has almost felt like a sort of love letter to Black Chicago. After last year's move to Oakwood Beach, this year's celebration will be the last. Here to prepare us for this final event and discuss some of the implications of losing such a summer staple are today's roundtable panelists. I'm excited to be joined by Jamie Nesbitt Golden with Block Club Chicago, Kathy Chaney, the Vice President of the National Association of Black Journalists, and Danielle Sanders, contributor with The Tribe. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
I have to first start off with some of your favorite memories. Jamie, what are some of your best moments from the last 20 years of the Block Party?
Oh my God, there are too many. So I live in Hyde Park, and I live about 2 blocks away from when it was on 53rd Street. Mm-hmm. So like seeing DJ Jazzy Jeff, just running into people I hadn't seen in forever, dancing with perfect strangers, because everybody becomes friends once you're there. Like, I mean, it's like you've known each other forever. But yeah, just those little slice of life moments where you're just, kind of fellowshipping with people and having a ball. Like, those are the things that make the city for me.
To see the Silver Room grow from sort of being right outside of the Wicker Park location, coming all the way down to the south side to now being at the beach. Kathy, what makes the Block Party different from any other festival, any other afternoon or evening during the summertime?
For me, in addition to the music, it is the vendors, because you're promoting, you're supporting Black-owned businesses, but independent businesses also that are there. And it's just, and some of them could be your friends. You get to see kids that are learning the business because they see what they can be. Yep. So for me, it's a lot of community fellowship. There is that family reunion portion of it. But it's supporting the small businesses that are there. That's key for me, because I make sure that I bring extra money, because it's like, okay, I'm going to recycle my Black dollars.
That's right. And I think Eric Williams has made it a point. He's been very intentional in making sure that he brings up the next generation of entrepreneurs. Yes. Very hands-on, and I think that's, again, I've never seen someone with such commitment to this city and making it great. So,
talking about Eric Williams, the founder of the Silver Room, the Block Party. Daniel, I don't mean nothing by this, but of the people here, you remember and were at those early Wicker Park days. What was it like when it was first getting started?
Well, that area, Wicker Park, at that time was a lot of artists, so it was a lot of music already. It was a lot of music, a lot of culture, and what Eric was able to do was basically highlight Black people and our contributions to art and culture. That was one of the reasons he started it. He didn't see Black people represented. Black businesses, Black restaurants represented in other neighborhood festivals that were happening in the area. And he knew a ton of artists, and he knew a bunch of musicians, and was like, this is a great way for me to highlight my people and the work that they do. So it started off in that kind of vein, kind of a for us, by us. If I'm gonna make my own table. I'm not gonna keep begging to sit at your own. And I think that was the foundation that he has been able to build this on, staying true to those roots about amplifying our culture and our people. And it does go beyond the music. It is about recycling Black dollars. It is about talking about all the different elements of Black culture that are so important. So I think he's done to see it grow the way it has. But in the beginning, it really was a block party that was for us, but everybody was included, if that makes sense.
For sure. I started attending pretty regularly once it moved to Hyde Park in that 2015, 2016 timeframe. Jamie, how did it transform once it hit 53rd Street?
I think being on the South Side, I think it definitely grew. And word of mouth is powerful, right? And by that time, Eric had been in Hyde Park for like a couple years. So, people were familiar with Silver Room. They were, regular customers. They hear about the block party, and they would, like around, typically the day would start a little slow, but around 3 or 4 o'clock in that afternoon, packed, wall-to-wall people. So yeah, like I think, it being on the South Side, it gave us a place to go. We didn't have to go downtown. We didn't have to go to Wicker Park. We could just, come down, park, a couple blocks away and kick it for a few hours.
Yeah. I remember that 2019 party before obviously everything shut down with COVID-19. And again, you go out there and a part of me felt like this might be the last time it's out here because can 53rd Street sustain how many people out here? You can't even juke out here. Everybody juking.
Everybody.
There's no room.
Like with so many things, once the pandemic hit, you really start to realize how much you miss something. Kathy, what was it like those summers without the block party?
You feel left out of something because you don't have your mainstays of seeing your people that you look forward to seeing at least once a year or maybe 3 times a year, but you know that you're going to see X, Y, Z from high school, maybe from college, or maybe from your church, at these events. And when you don't have that, you kind of feel like you're missing something, that there's just there's a void there, and we need our stuff, we need our stuff.
Those moments of just Black joy. And that's what is so important about these festivals. Like, you have the talent, you have all of these things, but it's the atmosphere that brings us back every single year. Everybody's smiling and happy and hugging each other, and it's a complete contradiction to what they say.
I was going to just say that, like the idea of the South Side being like some, violent, like interland. I mean, no, like, because there's never been an incident at, the block party or at Chosen at any time. Like, it's all love, it's all peace. And like people, like genuinely enjoy each other.
Yes, yes.
I mean, last year, you talk about that joy. I remember the energy in the store. And if people have never been to the Silver Room, you can pretty much get anything. I was talking to Avery Young a couple of weeks ago, the Chicago Poet Laureate, and I called it the Silver Room a book club.
Yes, it is.
A bookstore. And he was just like, you're gagging me, Jack. You're gagging. But for me, that's where I get my books.
That's where
I get my candles.
That's where I get my sweatshirts. I have a whole sweatshirt collection.
And my art and some of my jewelry. But when I walk in there, that energy around the return of the block party coming back and moving to Oakwood Beach was so big. But then there was, of course, they were charging people. It was ticketed. It wasn't going to be on the block anymore. Dan, do you think that changed? How did that move impact how people looked at it, felt about it, the attendance?
Well, I think the Silver Room block party, it's an extension of the Silver Room. And if you do know that business, they have things throughout the year. DJs, music, art, books.
Open mics.
And you see, I know right before the pandemic hit, Eric thought about discontinuing the Silver Room. At that point, he actually put it out on social media, like, I don't know if I want to do this again. For some of the same reasons. It's not sustainable economically for me, what do I do? And then when he decided to bring it back, he said, well, how do I do this now in a manner that's safe? Because everybody knows that year before, we were in there like sardines. There was no movement. In addition to lack of community support from some of the local businesses. So you move it to this space and there's this brouhaha. Oh, you're charging now. Oh, you're doing this now. But for me, I saw 2 different sets of arguments. I saw some people saying, I don't care. I missed y'all while y'all were gone. I can't wait to come back and support an event that's brought me X, Y, and Z. And then you have your other ones like, it should be free, it should stay on the block, but they don't know the logistics. And they don't know how much goes into that planning. And what Eric has told me as an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, it is difficult to plan an event that happens for 2 days, the entire year, while juggling all of your other businesses, raising your child, having a cohort of new entrepreneurs. That's a lot on one person.
I was thinking about that. Jamie, do you think, the average Chicagoan who is trying to enjoy Summertime Shy, which is street fest, which is music events, do you think we have a good sense of what goes behind
I don't think we
making
do.
a Silver Room block
And I
party?
think Eric made it a point, like when the Block Party returned, he held an event with organizers of the Chosen Few to sort of lay out why he had to start charging. I think being transparent about that, he was hoping people would, come up out their pockets, and rightfully so, because
he had been
literally, he said he spent $1 million last year on logistics alone, and it had gotten to the point where it had gotten bigger than big, and like he just couldn't handle the stress of it. So I completely understand why he decided that this was going to be the last hurrah, because he didn't get the support that was necessary to keep it going.
Yeah. Kathy, Daniel, you're going to
I was saying, with growth comes responsibility, right? So all of this stuff is happening. You're growing at this massive rate, but you are there. You're looking at security issues. You're looking at crowd control. You're looking at wanting to make it better. So who can I bring this year? A bigger name, a bigger act, or a local act that hasn't been seen? How many more vendors can I get in? How many more Black businesses can I support? All of that is an ecosystem that we have got to support, to sustain it. We can't keep saying we want this in our community and then not pour into it. We can't keep taking. We have to pour into it too, the same way he's been able to pour into his community. And that's what he has done consistently. And you're right, he did break it down where he would tell you, for me to give you this kind of production with the lights and the sound, and it costs this. For me to fence it in, it costs this. For me to keep it on the south side.
On the Park District land, that comes with additional
There's a fee there.
Versus when you're on the street, you can't charge people straight up because it's public land. I mean, I was one of those people who was a little bit skeptical when they said they were going to move, because I was like, I like the Block Party. Even with social distance being on the move. I wondered, will people show up? And then I got out there, I'm not gonna lie, it was cool to have a festival on the beach, but also felt like a festival in the park.
And there was space to move around.
There was space to social distance to move, and still didn't take away from the atmosphere. We've mentioned Chosen Few, right? The beautiful house music festival that takes place every year. We have Hyde Park Summerfest, which is still trying to figure out its growth. How big of a loss is the Silver Room the Block Party, though, to Black Chicago?
I think it will be a huge loss. I mean, because we don't have any festival that will feature Black-owned businesses is going to be a loss to me if we lose it, because that's an additional outlet for them to get exposure, to get money. I will pay the entrance fee, but I'm also bringing money because I want to buy stuff. I want to buy stuff. And to not have that, sometimes people don't have a brick and mortar store that I can go into. They rely on these festivals, these vendor events, in addition to maybe selling on social media now. So not having a physical festival, I think that I'm not gonna say it's gonna hurt their bottom line, but it hurts customers because we want to interact with the owner. We want to feel and see some stuff. We may buy more stuff because we're seeing it there, so.
You get to hear the stories. I interviewed one of the entrepreneurs in Eric's cohort at L1, who's going to be a vendor this year. And she made body oils and body washes, but it was her story that she was able to tell me. She's from the Gullah Geechee tribe. She has ancestry.
I know who this
and
is.
she found all this, and it was fascinating to me. And I was like, I want to buy your stuff. Just because. So it diminishes their visibility. I would have never known about this young lady who has a social media presence without this event, without a Silver Room, without these, they are highlighting entrepreneurs that may not be as visible because of ad dollars or whatever that they may not have. So it's a perfect time to connect the community to resources and businesses. And that's what Silver Room does, not just Black-owned businesses, health resources, mental health, things for your kids,
Wellness
all wellness groups. All these things that we may not even know are accessible right in our neighborhood. So I think the loss is going to be significant.
Yeah, no, I think I interviewed that same young lady for a story for Block Club not too long ago. And again, when you talk to young entrepreneurs that have been helped by Eric, they have the same story. I mean, he's an amazing leader, he's an amazing teacher, and I think he's still continuing on that with that. But again, having that space to see what it's like to sell your stuff at an event, to sort of have that, to sort of build that clientele, these are all helpful things, and we kind of lose out on that with the loss of this. But also, I want to make a point, I had to cover several community meetings regarding the block party when it moved to Oakwood Beach last year. And I think for me, I can only imagine, because it was demoralizing for me to hear some of the things that residents were saying during these calls, right?
What were some of those things?
Like, I mean, like, it was just, they were worried about crime and the wrong element coming through. And it just, you know, like, again, in all the years of the block party, like, no incidents, like, no drama, no nothing. But, you know, folks were, it was the same sort of, you know, like, I'm just concerned about, you know, public safety, you know, arguments. And it's like, right, and you're hearing it, but you're hearing it from Black people who live near them. And it's like, but and these are also the same people who may have attended a block party saying these things. It's like, this doesn't make sense.
And they have a proven track record. All these Black-owned festivals on the South Side have a proven track record, 10 years, 15 years, 30 plus years of not one incident.
Not one.
I have talked to cops who say, I love working these events because it's easy peasy and everybody is in a good mood. I'm just making sure everybody's getting their stuff and their chairs moved in. They enjoy it when they have to work those events because they say, I know this crowd. I know we're not gonna have any problems today unless it's like some crowd control. Nothing major. So the fact that our people still have to prove themselves worthy, you know, it's mind-boggling to me, especially to our own people. You know, that is very disheartening, and that's something you see consistently.
Kathy, if someone's listening, is trying to make up their mind what to do, you know, next weekend, why give them that pitch to show up at the last block party?
Number one, support all the businesses that are there. Support the festival. If it's the last year, make sure you're there, go out with a bang, and show it all the love that you probably thought you did but didn't before. Go out there and enjoy. Capture every moment. Bring your family members and your friends who haven't attended so they can at least experience, you know, what this is, because it really is a beautiful thing. It's just Black love, Black Chicago. You can't beat it.
You said something earlier I love, that like Chosen Few, house music. Summerfest is hip hop, but something about the block party feels like the diaspora coming.
It is. It's a beautiful culmination of what Black culture is. It's art, it's music, it's architecture, it's design, it's wellness. Last year they even made a point to include ballroom culture. It's everything that makes us us. Caribbean, Black American. And you see that reflected in the food that's there, in the vendors. You see it reflected in the people who are doing retail sales, the different art, and
even the performers. Like the fact that he had, you know, he made space, he made sure to include queer artists on the bill. And I think that's, you know, again, powerful as hell.
We're not one thing, and this is a perfect illustration of that. You get to see us in all of our different shades and our different interests and our different subsects, and I think that's what makes the block party unique and beautiful.
Hey, thank each and every one of y'all for being with us. This conversation's got me excited for one last block party. We look forward to having you join us again, and I'm gonna see y'all out there on Oakwood Beach.
That's right.
That's right.
Hi, I'm Ryan G. I'm the host of Tweeners. This week on Tweeners, we'll be talking about the music industry with a special guest, Mark Sanders III.
Whoever your favorite artist, look up how to make those beats.
You can catch my show Friday nights, 7 o'clock, CanTV 19, CanTV.org, and the new CanTV Plus app.
Everyone loves a good party. I mean, I know I do. The food, the dancing, the people, the music, they all help to create an amazing experience. But the thing is about parties, whether large or small, somebody's always working very hard behind the scenes to make it all happen. And whether we acknowledge it or not, most people who host parties need at least a few people to look out for them and make sure that this amazing experience comes together for the rest of us. And if we want to keep enjoying these epic summertime shy gatherings, we may need to be those people making sure we're the ones looking out. Thank you again to my guests for joining me, and to Andy Zopp for giving me this opportunity to co-host Chicago Newsroom 2.0. Good night, Chicago.